See, I say one word and there you are. Hello and welcome, and hello. We are live here at Total Spotfest Wrestling Podcast. That is Austin Reddick. I am JJ. We have no Jamie tonight. It's so quiet in here. It's so quiet.
It is. It's nice launching the show without waiting for him to sneak in an expletive, which I enjoy, but still. Nice little smooth launch to the show. Jamie is off on a Caribbean island, maybe south of the Caribbean. I think he explained that, but I don't know maps. He's celebrating Prime Day down there, so we're good to go.
Yeah, he is in the Caribbean. He is in Antigua, which is in the south of the, but still Caribbean.
Okay. Caribbean.
It's still Caribbean. It's the South Seaward Islands. So yeah. So first of all, welcome and hello. Those of you first time here. Hey, how you doing? It's Total Spotfest. Usually we have another person here, but that is Austin. I'm JJ. We do this every Wednesday. If it's your first time here, hit the subscribe button down below. Give us a big thumbs up while you're down there. So literally, Jamie flies out Monday, or Sunday's a travel day. All this stuff. 9 a.m. Monday morning, we get 9 o'clock in the morning. We get a text, from him of his morning view overlooking on his chateau, overlooking the Caribbean Ocean. It's like, bro, you just got there. Stop rubbing it in. Settle down.
Hey, welcome to the chat, Heather. Good to see you.
You may have stolen a topic of discussion. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, historically, limos do not fare well in pro wrestling, and we will discuss that a little later on.
We're going to get into that in a little bit. Austin, how the hell was your 4th of July, man?
Pretty solid. Can't complain. I brewed my next batch of beer over the weekend, so that's in the fermenter. A nice High Point double IPA should be ready here in a few weeks. Looking forward to that. And then to stay thematic and celebrate the season, the wife and I watched National Treasure, which is one of my all-time favorite movies. Unironically, so goofy.
It is so good. It was. I mean, I wouldn't even think, but that's actually a very 4th of July movie.
It is. The fact that somehow Nicolas Cage's goofy ass just looks straight into the camera and goes, I'm going to steal the Declaration of Independence. And it somehow works, even though everything around it should not make it work, but it does. No. So yeah, that's how we celebrate America's birthday with some Nicolas Cage.
I actually worked for a couple hours. We were technically open, but we got to go in casual wear. So wearing jeans and, my Cadillac t-shirt and just, did dick nothing for 3.5 hours. Then I came home, had to work in my yard a little bit more because I got that stupid citation about doing, my backyard. So it's been 3.5, 4 hours doing that, busting my balls. And then went to my buddy's house where we cooked some brats. Didn't do them the way that I prefer. We didn't do them Milwaukee style, right? Not so.
Still gotta try that.
Oh, it's the way to do it, man. I'm telling you, it's so good. But cook some brats. It just loafed. I barely even drank a beer. We were just being two bumps on a log outside, and it was fantastic.
See, I made brats Saturday night. I completely forgot about the Milwaukee style, so I just did them in the air fryer because it's quick and easy. But I gotta try that next time.
Right.
That sounds like a good time.
It takes some setup. It takes some commitment to do it, but trust me, it's well worth it. Oh no, we froze. All right. We should be back here. So we were just saying earlier, it's how funny it would be if we didn't freeze it all tonight and we could just blame Jamie for all. No.
But no, it was the exact opposite. So now he can say look, it was 3 minutes in without me here.
So, all right, apologies for that. I still have no idea what's going on with that, but no, we hope everybody out there in America had a wonderful 4th of July. But yeah, let's get to it. So, we got a lot of wrestling going on. You have some wrestling going on. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but this is All In Week. So, we're chock full of events. We had Dynamite tonight we're going to talk about. See, okay, so Jamie shows up, so it is Jamie's fault. It is definitely Jamie. We were perfectly fine until Jamie showed up in chat.
I would imagine it happened exactly when he got into the chat. It froze.
It's definitely your fault, Jamie. All right, so we had Dynamite tonight. We have Collision tomorrow. We got Supercard of Honor on Friday. And then, of course, Saturday is All In at Globe Life Field. So, a go-home show, and Dynamite's found for the last year and a half, they've really kind of found their swagger, their rhythm for a go-home show. And that's what tonight was. So, very go-homey. Well, Mercedes she can wrestle on Sunday. Everyone else is gonna wrestle Saturday. That's fine, Heather. That's fine. There was 3 other people who mentioned Sunday too, but nobody else. It's just on Mercedes.
It was funny though because she was on the right side of the screen when you're at hard cam, which means she was facing the entranceway where there's a giant logo that says this Saturday. Even then, easy mistake to make. We're making fun because it's funny, but easy mistake to make.
Well, that's how they open it up. So Mercedes and Toni come out for, once again, the match that needs no more build-up. We get build-up. And, yeah, it's just more of the same. I can't believe I'm even saying this, but I am so ready for them to move past this. I don't even care what they do. Give all the belts to Mercedes. We'll figure something, Mercedes get her first loss and can't win the big. I don't care. I really don't care anymore, and I hate even saying those words about a Toni Storm match. But I am. This was prededicated so long ago and beaten into our heads so much. I have zero give a fuck about this at all. What do you think?
I largely agree. I will say that tonight's in-ring segment was the most interesting thing they've done in this build.
Sure.
Still doesn't make the build interesting. Toni just outclassed Mercedes on the mic. And I feel every time I watch Mercedes, I dial it in a little bit more on here's where this is going wrong. Mercedes does not have a second gear when she's talking. Toni Storm will cut her normal promo, but when it gets to the big points, she'll raise her voice. She'll get excited. Mercedes just has one lane she stays in, and it never seems like she's particularly interested. This is being built up as the biggest possible women's match you could do, which as far as AEW goes, it probably is. And it seems like Mercedes is not interested at all, which I think is what's leaving us not interested. And Toni's trying to save it. The match will be great. No doubts once it gets in the ring and the bell rings. But, man, yeah, this build has just done nothing.
I think that the critical mistake that Toni and AEW have done with Mercedes, and no, Heather, it's not poisoning, okay? Heather is hell-bent on this poisoning angle. And while I appreciate being committed to the bit there. It's not that. The biggest mistake that AEW and Toni have done with Mercedes in this whole build up there is everything it has to do, letting her try and be by herself, right? The brief moments where it wasn't just Mercedes alone were her best character moments, okay? Yes, and a lot of those were with Harley Cameron, but, she was interesting. She could play the villain better with a person next to her, right? and you're trying to have her go out there and be tit for tat versus Toni Storm, and you're going to lose. I mean, 99% of women out there in this business are going to lose that, right? There's very few that could probably keep up with Toni on that front, okay? So, yes, I know I know that the props are there, but I'm not going on the poison angle. But that's my whole big problem with this. And yes, it takes, Toni doing some Toni Storm things just to keep you even mildly around the point, because I mean, there are only two things that come from Texas, and she is at least one of them. So, which is a very solid Full Metal Jacket reference to start the night. I mean,
we'll get that one.
Yeah, I feel like that was for our dearly fallen Jamie Faulkner. It definitely was in honor of him. She decided to put that out there for everybody. So, regardless, they get a little spat. Then Toni dances around, chugging champagne and riding a fake cowboy with Toni's a national treasure, herself. So, absolutely. Quick little video vignette from Jon Moxley, and then you get into the matches tonight. 5 matches. If you're gonna do a go home show, I still like them giving us some dope matches, right? A couple of them that had some very poignant, plays into the promo or into the pay-per-view, and this one had a few different ones. So you had Bandito and Brody King versus Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher, Proto-Shita, if you will, which I agree with Taz, makes no sense.
Yeah, doesn't. Don't care. Here for it anyway.
Proto Alpha Fletch, thank you. That is so much better.
That would be much better. Proto Alpha would be much better.
Put this man on creative right there. Proto Alpha. There we go. Takeshita, of course, is challenging Bandito for the ROH World Title at Supercard of Honor. It is Supercard
Friday
of
night.
Honor, right?
Yeah, Supercard of Honor on Friday.
All right. I sometimes get their names mixed up for ROH.
They haven't been important in quite some time, so it's easy to forget.
No, and they're only available on their own streaming service, which, whatever.
Let's get that on Max sooner rather than later. I would probably watch Ring of Honor more regularly if it was on Max.
I mean, as well as AEW is doing on Max, it stupefies me that ROH isn't on Max. Seriously.
Yeah, like free content, especially if you get the back catalog too. Our man Proto TNT star Fletcher in the chat saying Takeshi dethroned Bandito due to greater things coming, Okada feud. I'm going to disagree.
Ooh.
I think Takeshi's taking that title on Friday.
I do too.
Because early next week he's heading to Japan for the G1. And I think having the Ring of Honor champion competing in the G1 is more interesting than anything you do with Ring of Honor right now. They sent Nick Wayne over to the Super Juniors, wherever it was, with the ROH TV title. It makes sense to send Takeshita over with the ROH title to take that title worldwide and just get some more notoriety on it. Well, and then not put it on Max for some reason. We're back to that.
Plus you got Fletcher, so it was announced over Collision last week, so Fletcher's going to be challenging Adam Cole at All In for the TNT title. I think he wins that too. I think you're going to see some double gold showing up in the Don Callis family.
Yeah. I mean, you got to put it on Fletcher there. And I mean, I like Adam Cole. He's certainly rounding back into form. He's looking like the old Adam Cole.
Yeah.
But you haven't done anything particularly important with him in some time. And Kyle Fletcher's a star. He needs a singles title.
I think he does. I think you have the ability if you're trying to transition Cole into something too, right? Because again, he has found his ring legs again, finally, right? He can always do a promo, okay? It's still the Undisputed Era. Even though the name is terrible now, it's still him, Kyle O'Reilly, Roddy. They're still who they are, right? So you have stuff you can probably do with them in a different fashion, right? If turn them heel, Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Just say it.
Yeah.
That doesn't require the TNT title. And I think having Kyle with the TNT title gives you a ton of good shit you can do with it. I mean, a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, turn them heel and send them after the ops for the trios titles. And put that TNT title on Kyle Fletcher.
There you go.
Immediately.
I like that. Yep. But the match was fun because you had Bandito and Brody King, of course. You know, who doesn't like seeing a Brody King match, you know, and of course Proto Alpha, you know. Fun way to open the wrestling for the night, okay? And just a word about the unbelievable selling that Kyle Fletcher does. Best selling in wrestling currently? I'm going to say yes.
It's up there. It's up there. Osprey's up there too.
Well, Osprey is Osprey, for sure.
He is. And I mean, Kyle Fletcher is also Osprey in many regards, so it makes sense. But yeah,
pretty
Kyle Fletcher,
much.
definitely one of the best sellers in the business.
I mean, he did that overshoot toss for Bandito, which led into that midair, you know, and he just kind of jumped into, oh my God.
Yeah. So
he
good.
Literally overshot Bandito's toss, then jumped up for him to grab him, and he more or less jumped straight in the air just to land on the top of his head and then flop around. Oh.
That's why he's got to get a title on Saturday. Like
he does.
He's a star. He's going to be a top guy within the next year or two.
Oh yeah. I think he's already approaching that door. I mean, your top guy room is pretty loaded right now, right?
It is.
But I mean, just from that cage match with him and Osprey, you know, the vitriol he ensued, you know, and just the presence of him standing on top corner of the cage for all of Osprey's entrance as he came in. I mean, he has got everything. We know the wrestling part's been there, but he's got it all.
And I think a Kyle Fletcher run will make the TNT title seem somewhat important again, because it's been an afterthought for quite some time.
Yeah, it has. It has. Well, and with them merging the titles too, that's gonna for Osprey and Omega and Okada, that's gonna help as well too. So,
did you see they did the press conference on Monday and Tony Khan said they're not combining the belts, and so like the champion might be walking around with 3 belts, like the new unified title as well as the Continental and the International. I think they'll still all be defended as a single unit, but someone's going to be walking around with 3 belts.
I mean, that's very 90s boxing.
Yeah.
I don't love that idea.
Just make it the one.
Yeah, I think that might happen briefly, and then very quickly that'll be, let's just go with the 1 belt. Okay.
Yeah, hopefully. We can hope.
Well, You'll be happy to hear, Mr. Austin Reddick. There was some love given to tag teams in this past week, okay? First of all, Outrunners had a pretty good match with FTR on Saturday.
I go back and watch that.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Outrunners had a promo tonight, you know, talking about this. And then they get into FTR and the Patriarchy, you know, having a little chit chat. Patriarchy is one of 3 teams competing, 2 challenging the Hurt Syndicate for the tag gold at the pay-per-view. So you have the Patriarchy aiming to be the first father-son tag champions in AEW. I'm in. I am so in on this gimmick. I don't even care.
Absolutely.
I don't care.
Absolutely.
And then you got Jet Speed versus the Hurt Syndicate. Put a pin in that. So you have the Patriarchy and FTR doing, because they got a little 8-man tag tomorrow night, right? Talking about, hey, you scratch our backs, we'll scratch yours. More or less saying, help us win these at the pay-per-view, and we'll give you a title shot, basically. How bad do you want the Patriarchy to win the tag titles?
I think that's the most likely conclusion to the match on Saturday. I think there's a non-zero chance it becomes a 4-way, though.
Oh, you think the FTR might get in there?
I would not be surprised if it became a 4-way, because you're not doing anything else with FTR in the show. You don't have...
Yeah.
So, like, you got Jet Speed as your face team. You got the Patriarchy as your heel team. And the Hurt Syndicate, no one wants to boo the Hurt Syndicate. Like, they're kind of faces as well. I get adding FTR and making this a 4-way. Just get FTR on the show. And if you're going to do a triple threat tag match, I'd rather you did a 4-way tag anyway. Like, just put more bodies out there. But yeah, either way, I really hope this leads to the Patriarchy winning those tag titles.
It's interesting when you think about it. As of right now, 3 days away, FTR is not scheduled for anything on the pay-per-view. Potentially a run-in is what we're talking about. So yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. But then again, I don't hate that idea. I like the idea of the Patriarchy getting the tag titles. I have no idea if Copa's even ready to come back. Honestly, Fletch.
I had heard, now this is dirt sheet reporting, so who knows what's true and what's not. I had heard a little while back that Christian wanted to push back the reuniting with Cope to finish the story with Nick Wayne.
Makes sense.
And I think them picking up the titles here is a good way to get there. You get your little father-son run for a while. Eventually, Nick Wayne leaves Christian, leaving him needing a partner. You slide edge in. You can get to them versus FTR. Like, you can get there and by the next pay-per-view without really a problem. And I mean, that's what you're not going to have both those guys in AEW and not get a tag team run with them at some point in time.
No, you've got to. And you can even run the angle of they kick Christian out of the Patriarchy, right? Because technically, I mean, Kip Sabian's in the Patriarchy too. Freebird rules. Just saying.
Yeah, I could absolutely see that. I mean, it's got to end with a Christian face turn if he's teaming with Cope. And it's about time to turn Christian face anyway. He's been a great heel for a couple years now. But some of the luster has fallen off over the last 6 months or so. Like, he kind of peaked at the end of last year when he was doing the best work in the world as a heel. I also think Christian and Cope reuniting is kind of the only interesting thing left for Cope to do in AEW. I don't really want to see him do anything else.
No. I think that'd be good, and he could be like a mentor to some younger talent and just leave it at that, and right in the sunset. So you had Ricochet finally this past week had found his henchman in the Gates of Agony.
Okay.
Found his henchman from the serial henchman of AEW / Ring of Honor.
I mean, I like Gates of Agony. Like, it's good to see him getting opportunities, but yeah, we've seen them as goons for like 8 different heels in the run in AEW, and I still think Ricochet needed funnier henchmen, like more useless henchmen, not just muscle.
Well, I like the idea. So, and there was a thing with Blake Christian. So he had a match with Blake Christian, and he had the Gates of Agony beat up Blake on Blake and Lee. And Shoddy got so beat up he wasn't even there tonight, right? I like the idea of Lee Johnson and Blake Christian being his henchmen better.
Absolutely.
Somebody that gives it a little bit more, stakes other than just, as you said, serial henchmen. I definitely could see Ricochet winning the Casino Gauntlet, Fletch. I could see Ricochet doing damn near anything. He is all the talent in the world. We know that. I think that his talking in this whole heel run has been the best of his career, right? I can see him winning a title shot to lose it very quickly. I don't see him in the picture yet, but I could definitely see him winning that Casino to at least put him into a quick match, to give it a little different flair. And maybe...
Yeah, did they say for sure when the winner would get their title shot?
They have not. They said they have a guaranteed title shot is all they say. It could be at a specific pay-per-view. It could be one of those you cash in whenever you want deals. We don't know yet.
I wouldn't mind if but see, because that's the thing. The next pay-per-view is Forbidden Door, and you kind of want someone international in that match just to fit the theme. So I don't I don't know if that's going to be when it is. All Out seems a little too far away because that's not till September.
Yeah.
But maybe we'll just be on a Dynamite in a couple weeks.
I think it could be one of those like they get to call their shot sort of things. Not one of those cash in, not like a Money in the Bank thing, but you have a title shot, so they can come out and say, "I want my title shot next week," right? Who knows?
I wouldn't mind that.
And the good thing is too, because if you think about this, who's going to be in the title picture? We're assuming Hangman wins. Okay, let's assume Hangman wins. Who's going to be in that title picture? Okay, Ospreay, Swerve, potentially, depending if they win. You've got MJF is the one logical entrant in here that you could put into that, as from the heel side of things.
I mean, if Mox loses, that doesn't necessarily kick him out of the title picture as much as I feel like a lot of people would like to see something different for a while, but you've been champion since November, or October even.
He's had the most championship reigns.
Yeah.
I mean, plus you've got, there's Okada Omega, right? Whoever doesn't win that title is in there. Whoever wins that title's in there too, really, And then, you've got others that are like knocking on that door, i.e. Takeshita. Adam Cole's one you could elevate into that pretty easily, right? I think he's justifiable to elevate up to that level. So,
Darby coming back rather later, maybe even the Casino Gauntlet match.
I mean, there's a lot of ways you can go with that, and I think that MJF makes the most sense, like Fletch says, Ricochet as well, just because of how Ricochet has been pushed, but yeah, I'm interested. I'm interested to see what they do with that, how they go with that.
I don't think there's really any chance of seeing this happen, but I'd like to see Mark Briscoe in it.
That'd be cool.
Give him a Dynamite main event title match.
I swear to God, if Darby Allin wins that thing, Darby's got to be. Jay White coming back. Yes. I know Heather's just like Jay White, damn it. All right, let's go. I take Jay White in there.
Was the last one to beat Hanger in a singles match.
Yeah. Yeah, Juice has been healthy. Okay, Juice has been healthy for a little bit, but without the rest of the Bullet Club, he's a little rudderless just because the way he's been booked. So, Juice comes out by yourself, you're like, yay, but what do you do with him? Yeah,
So here's a fun game. Who do you want to see win the Casino? Out of even not knowing whether or not they're going to be in the match or not, who would you like to see win that?
Oh, we're fantasy booking this, like just throwing names out there.
Just like if you got to book it yourself and just pick whoever you wanted for whatever reason, who would you like to see win and get a shot at the title?
I'd like to see get a shot at the title. I really enjoyed when they went back, and this wasn't for the world title, but when they went back and they had Ray Phoenix, he beat Mox for the international title, like something like completely out of the blue like that, I enjoy the kind of random off the wallness things of that nature. So going along those lines, I would say something like, Bandito.
That would be rad. I mean, Mystico is in it too.
Mystico would be cool as well, right?
I think if I had to pick the winner for it though, I think I'd give it to Ricochet.
Okay, yeah.
I think Ricochet having a little program with Hanger for the title is a nice change of pace and breath of fresh air in the title scene. Ricochet ain't winning the title, but he's been doing such good heel work. I'd like to see him have a little program with Hanger for a while.
Right, a little payoff there. And the Ray Phoenix thing was unscripted. Yeah, that was not scripted, but they rolled with it. Yeah. So you had a quick little video vignette in the middle of this here, Omega and Okada, which definitely doesn't need any prep. All I gotta say is Omega Okada. They've done already. That's fine,
perfect. The video was exactly what you needed for the little go home for that match.
Just perfect. Just for anybody who by chance doesn't know what you're talking about. Like, this is why you watch this pay-per-view. Okay. And a lot of stuff going on with the Hurt Syndicate. So Jet Speed steals the Hurt Syndicate's tag titles, leaving them to go off, and MJF's left alone with Renee behind, backstage. Okay. Enter in the Talky Talk. So Mark Briscoe, MJF's Talky Talk. And the most times you ever heard Talky Talk used on national television. So you're welcome.
But that just shows you how cool Mark Briscoe is, because he can say something like Talky Talk and it's unironically awesome. But like every time someone else says it just sounds stupid.
Keep that question for a second, Fletch. We'll come back to that. So I'm going to put a pin in your question. I'll be right back, okay? This was fine. This was what you expected, okay? It's never a bad idea to put two people like Briscoe and MJF on your TV, right? Of course, it ends... It's a lot... Predictability, quite a lot, MJF does the cheap heat, mocks Texas, mocks, him, Briscoe talks about how proud he is to be hardworking, all this stuff. Eventually, MJF invokes, Jay Briscoe's name in a very unflattering way, which leads to chaos. So they get into it. Out comes the Hurt Syndicate, who again get jumped by Jet Speed with the titles. Briscoe chases off MJF through the crowd. All right. And then you get the patriarchy coming out and doing a triple concerto on the knee of Bobby Lashley. That's why I'm convinced they're winning the titles. Okay. And so a lot of... This is really the first time the Hurt Syndicates looked, vulnerable. And you have the way you built them up. You have to have something like this if you're going to take the titles off of them, because they're not losing straight up to anybody, right?
Accurate.
Hypothetically, yes, it could take Bobby on the match, but this is wrestling, so let's be real.
Yeah, I mean, it could just be him just selling his knee on the apron for most of it. I'm interested to see how much tagging in and out is done in this, because these things usually tend to break down.
Yeah.
Although if it breaks down in just multi-man chaos, Bobby Lashley is probably not a dude you want doing a ton. Like that's not in his bag. And I love Bobby Lashley. Phenomenal pro wrestler, just that's not his particular style. No. And part of that is why I started to think maybe FTR gets added to this match. One, the injuring Bobby Lashley thing. But also watching this segment, Jet Speed weren't like super over as baby faces. And the crowd likes both those guys. They're cool pro wrestlers. Like, they do cool stuff. It didn't seem like the crowd like really wanted them to get one over on the Hurt Syndicate, because the Hurt Syndicate's cool. Everyone likes the Hurt Syndicate, even though they're technically bad guys. And then when you had Christian hitting Bobby's knee, like, you're not really getting heat from that because he's technically a heel. It was all just kind of muddy and convoluted. Let's just get this tag division back on track.
Yeah, and
let's add this match. Let's move on.
As much as I like Jet Speed, they make they pair up well, right? Is two guys that are super over that you don't know what to do with, basically, right? You put the TNT belt on Fletcher, and you can have either or both of these guys going after that belt. Makes a whole lot more like Bailey versus Fletcher for the TNT title makes a lot more sense than Jet Speed as a tag team. I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
So Fletch asked a question a little bit ago that I want to get to, okay? Who do you think of Omega and Okada needs this W the most? In AEW, Fletch thinks that Okada needs this more than Omega does. Austin, what do you think? Who needs this win between Okada and Omega more?
I don't think either of them need it. I think AEW needs Kenny to win it.
Okay.
I think we've had him back for about 6 months now, but it's been intermittent matches and things like that. Like, he hasn't been working super regularly. But you could almost track like the spark of AEW picking up steam again, kind of coincide with the return of Kenny Omega. And I'm not even historically a huge Kenny Omega fan. I'm nothing against him. Phenomenal pro wrestler. He just never really did much for me. But you could kind of tell, like there was a shift when he came back and things started kicking into gear a bit. I think Kenny Omega needs to win this. Okada, we haven't seen him lose since he got there. If not Kenny Omega, who's going to come beat Okada? Like, I know you're going to get to the Takeshita thing eventually, but Takesha's going to do the G1. He won't be back for a while. Let's get Kenny Omega winning this match. Let's get, the every other week Kenny Omega banger on Dynamite defending that title for a while, and then let's pick it up from there.
I tend to, so I have a different way of answering that. It's very similar to what Austin said. So I think that I believe Omega wins the match. I think Omega needs to win the match more than Okada does for a couple reasons here, I think that you talk about the fact that Takeshi is going to be in the G1 as well is one of the reasons why, Yes, eventually you want to have, Takeshi turn face, and Okada is a likely, other end of that story, especially with the positioning you've done with Don Callis' family. But I don't think that's your primary goal, because Takesha's getting ready to pack his bags and go over to Japan. The loser of this match, as weird as it sounds, gets pushed into the title picture, the main title picture, okay? I don't think that Omega going into that title picture is needed right now. And if Hanger wins, it's kind of redundant, Plus, the storyline, as it's brought out, it's about him coming back and doing all this. And I feel like him putting this belt on, this new title over as the first one, is more important than Okada continuing on his winless or his undefeated nature, right? I think that Okada makes more sense to break away from these belts and refocus towards a bigger goal, right? Especially if you're going to do some sort of thing like we're talking about with the Young Bucks, like the fall from grace eventually. You've already broken Okada basically off of the Bucks as it is, right? And I think that him winning doesn't really benefit all the parties in the best way as Omega winning does.
Yeah, and Fletch, I get where you're going. I just have a different idea about how to get there. I think Omega winning here, Takeshita coming back, and then beating Okada to get a shot at Omega, and getting babyface Takeshita beating Omega for that title a couple months down the line. I think that makes Takeshita a megastar. And I think that's even bigger than him just beating a heel Okada for the title.
Okay. And the good thing is, like I said, there's no bad options with which way you go with it.
Not at all.
Whether you're going Omega or you're going Okada, right? Because it is who they are, right? So in a way, we're all splitting hairs here, but that's what's going on there. I don't see Ibushi joining the Callis family. I know you mentioned that last week, and I think the ideas. I like your idea. I just don't see it. I don't see Ibushi. I mean, it'd be the most masterful move if they did that. I will give you that, and that's not out of the realm of possibility.
I would like to see the Callis family start to fall apart, and before too long, let's get to Don Callis only managing Kyle Fletcher.
Okay.
I think that makes Kyle Fletcher seem like an even bigger deal, which he should be. He's on his way up. And we've done the Don Callis family thing for a couple years now. It's been great. Don Callis is always great, but it's definitely run its course to some extent. I know they'd have to find something new for Lance Archer to do, but you can put him on Ring of Honor or something. I like Lance Archer. He just always looks. I think we were talking about it last week. He always looks like he just left a Five Finger Death Punch concert, and he's always just standing there.
Well, did you see that sign in the front row? All Lance Archer does is stand there.
It's accurate. And like I said, I like Lance Archer. Met him a handful of times. Sweetheart of a man. Solid pro wrestler. But does he need to be just flanking Don Callis and occasionally interfering in a match? Like, we don't need that.
No, I mean you had good stuff when you had him and Brian Cage tagged up, and Cage's been out for a little bit. I saw he got baptized. His daughter he got baptized with his daughter, so good on him for doing some family stuff, whatever. But yeah, he's not really doing anything. Mark Davis is nowhere to be found. He's injured again, though, isn't he?
I have no idea. I often forget Mark Davis exists. I feel bad saying that. Nothing against Mark Davis, but just does nothing for me.
He's now the Luther of the Don Callis family, indeed. Okay. So there was a women's match on the show tonight. So on Saturday, Chris Statlander got the number 1 position for the women's Casino Gauntlet. So tonight we had a 4-way match to determine the number 2 position. So you had Megan Bayne, Ty Mello, Queen Aminata, and Thekla. My God, Thekla's entrance is so good. With the inverted camera, the whole thing. Although they said it was her Dynamite debut, which is not true, but whatever.
It depends, because the 4-hour extravaganza that we had to sit through for 2 weeks, the back half, I think they technically called it Collision.
Okay, so technically,
so it's a technicality, but it might have been her technical Dynamite debut. But we watched her on a Wednesday night a few weeks ago for sure.
Yeah,
back to back Wednesday nights actually.
You were right in those assumptions there. The crowd was not really into this match as much, and it's not just me. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but they were most into this match when Thekla was doing Thekla things, right?
Yeah, Thekla got a big pop on her entrance too, but she's got that kind of charisma, an interesting look, an interesting way of working that you're gonna pay attention. Megan Bayne needs more charisma.
She's a whole lot more charisma.
It makes it hard to give a shit. And I mean, she's impressive. She's an attraction, but that lack of charisma just doesn't make you really give a shit what happens one way or the other. Queen Aminata, I think the talent's there, but you really haven't done enough with her to make her seem like a big deal. You knew there was no way she was winning this match, so you're not invested there. And I hate to say it, but
you can say it.
Did not look good.
Kudos for Ty coming back after having the baby and everything. Got more rust to knock off. We'll just leave it.
That was more than rust. That was like regression.
Yeah.
They kind of set her up to fail, putting her in a 4-way. Because in a tag match, you can hide someone on the apron, you can give them their little spots and get them out. A 4-way, there's just so much going on, and you could just clearly tell at points she was lost. And when that comes across on TV, it does not look good. So maybe she just needs to get in the ring and just shake a little bit more rust off or something. But she kind of dragged this match down a bit.
She did, just dragged it down a little bit. I think Megan Bayne, it was a little bit too predetermined, which way they're going here, especially with having Statlander in the front ring, right? And I'm with you. I like Queen Aminata. I like what she's been doing. I don't like her character is weird to me, right? Megan Bayne,
she's more of a character.
Yeah. So it's just the way that I just don't get it at times, because I feel like you have much more potential for her than the way she's going to. I mean, Megan Bayne, you're packaging, you got the whole Pegasus thing and Megasus thing, and whatever. Charisma is lacking, but the packaging, the character works, right? Thekla's oozing with all sorts of stuff, and we know that, right? We've also sung her praises, and yes, there is Victorian TNT vibes. It is the spider thing, though. You're 100% correct, Heather. It is because of the spider thing, but I mean, she is not the same character that she was in Stardom, which kind of surprises me. Now, Stardom's a little bit of a different promotion, so I shouldn't be too surprised by that. But I do like how she's transitioned a lot better, I think, than Megan has with the fans. But I don't think Megan's far off. I like the pairing. I like how they have her with somebody, right? I think that's good for her. But sometimes it's just a matchup thing, right?
Yeah, like I said, the talent's there. the size and athleticism is there. You just need that charisma or something more interesting. I actually would like to see if these rumored AEW women's tag titles are coming sooner rather than later, like has been speculated.
Please.
I would like to see them move Penelope onto other things. Give me Megan Bayne and Queen Aminata as a tag team.
Okay.
I think there's a vibe there. Like I think that's a good pairing, and it immediately makes them both more interesting.
I like that. I think that gives Queen Aminata better. I like that.
The Queen thing, you can roll that into the Megasis thing. Like you can get like a real cool aesthetic with the two of them.
Yeah.
I think they would be great as a tag team. They both seem like they would be a great other half of a tag team. So let's just push them together and make some magic.
I'm with you there because I was like, and you know they did a little bit later on, you know, continuing the feud with Tekla because Tekla was set up for an interview and then interrupted by Queen Aminata, and I'm not trying to knock Queen Aminata at all. I just feel like her character wise is a little rudderless, and yeah, no, I mean, it's the second worst kept secret in AEW history behind a CM Punk debut. Fletch, I mean, these women's tag titles. It's like everybody knows they're coming. Just give it to us, you know.
Like, yeah, I think crowning those at All In would have been a great idea. Although I like them doing the women's Casino Gauntlet match. Mm-hmm. I would imagine we'll get the women's tag titles crowned at like All Out. So we're probably still a couple months out. Because that's not a Forbidden Door thing, but All Out makes sense.
I think we on the build for Forbidden Door, you can start to kind of make the announcement for it, right? And so I kind of start at Forbidden Door with the build up, you know, tag tournament style, right? You know, because if you're pulling in Forbidden Door, then you can have some Stardom stuff, kind of some other, you know, some CMLL stuff, you know, mixed in for the tournament sort of thing. So you're gearing towards that. Oh, definitely gonna be a tag team tournament of sorts, 100%.
You're not gonna not have a tournament.
I mean, this is Tony Khan we're talking about. This man loves tournaments, especially 18 tournaments.
Man, I love tournaments in pro wrestling.
Yes. I'd love to see them do. Go ahead.
I was like, you're presenting it as a sport. Like NCAA has a tournament every year. They have a preseason tournament, and then there's always stakes with the tournament. Give me tournaments all the time. Like one a quarter. I'm down.
Well, you did get a Samoa Joe match tonight. Samoa Joe versus Wheeler Yuta in your, you know, fun pre-main event, you know, appetizer. Okay. So always good to see Samoa Joe on your TV, like we always talk about. Wheeler Yuta, I think he was a great sacrificial lamb to go out there. I love him trying to like German suplex, and Joe's just looking at him like, "Are you crazy? What are you doing?"
I love that the finish, they went back to the Joe gets O'Connor rolled and kicks him out into the choke. He's been doing that for 20 years, and it always works.
Absolutely, absolutely. Of course, Gabe Kidd comes out. Yes, we do need a Gabe Kidd versus Samoa Joe match at some point. Absolutely. But Gabe Kidd comes out afterward showing that, hey, he's going to be at All In one way or another, right? Big shocker. I mean, it's only a matter of time, I know, but goddamn, I want Gabe Kidd just full on in AEW.
I assume Gabe Kidd, because they announced that the Death Riders are challenging the Ops for the Trios titles. I assume it's going to be Gabe Kidd, Yuta, and Claudia, because I don't think Pac is back yet.
As far as I know, Pac's not. No, so Gabe Kidd is your...
I imagine we'll get Gabe Kidd in that Trios match.
Yeah.
Which the Gabe Kidd on AEW thing so far has been a little weird. It's been a little too start and stop. Mm-hmm. And I feel like they assume people are more familiar with Gabe Kidd than they are.
Yeah.
And they haven't really presented him in a big enough way for who Gabe Kidd is and how they should.
Well, okay, I'll give you that. But in return, think about this. Gabe Kidd is, I just said, I'd love to see him full-time in AEW. He is not going to be full-time in AEW anytime soon, right? He is definitely a New Japan guy. He is in New Japan at least for another year or two, right? You know, what better way to preemptively get people to know about Gabe Kidd? Just sprinkle him in every once in a while, right? So in a year and a half, when he does make that transition over to AEW inevitably, which he will one day, do soon, he's not just some foreign person which you have to explain to the world who he is, right? So
yeah,
that's why I don't hate this.
The frequency is not the problem. It's him just doing kind of run-ins and stuff.
Okay.
Like, sprinkle in a little more high profile, like get him some wins against some like notable folks here and there to really set the stage of like, this is Gabe Kidd. He's coming eventually, and this is a guy you need to look out for. But more or less up until now, he's just been another bald white guy in the Death Riders.
True. And, Fletch puts out there that because you do have Forbidden Door up next, there's always the possibility of having the War Dogs versus the Death Riders. Although that's like mega heel on mega heel. So, I mean.
So, I mean, yeah. It is interesting and just a good thing that there's so many different directions things can go from All In. Assuming Hanger wins, which they're fucking up if he doesn't. Like, Hanger needs to win that. And I'll get to how he needs to win when we get to the post All-Star 8-man and all that. Where do you go with Mox? And there's many different avenues you could go. You could turn Mox a face before too long. He's Mox. Even after all he's done these last 9 months and stuff, you could still turn face before too long. I think if you were going to build, and there's a million different ways you can go, so who knows? If you were going to build to a War Dogs versus Death Riders, I don't think it'd be Death Riders. I think it'd be War Dogs versus Mox and Eddie Kingston.
Okay.
That'll sell tickets.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I can't top that. That's a pretty stout way to go.
Assuming Eddie's coming back sometime soon. We don't know for sure yet, but hopefully. Love me some Eddie Kingston.
We don't question why there's what's under the ring is under the ring, Heather. It just is.
See, Heather, here's the thing I got to fill you in as someone who's been an in-ring competitor for the better part of 2 decades. What most fans don't understand is that the ring aprons function similar to Mary Poppins' purse. Like, it is just an endless void of shit you can pull out and hit somebody with at any given time. You never know what's under there. WWE has established in canon that there is an entire society of little people that live under the ring and have their own legal system. That's the thing that happened too. So, like, you can't question what comes out from under the ring. It could be anything.
I mean, it's a veritable TARDIS. It's a Mary Poppins purse. I mean, yeah. So, main event time, you had the All-Star 8-man tag. You had Katsuyori Shibata and Powerhouse Hobbs with Will Ospreay and Hangman Adam Page versus Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, and the Young Bucks. Yeah, this is, have a nice, fun, multi-person kind of blow-off to end your go-home. That's how you do it, Good fun, ends with Death Riders and Bucks winning, and which is where the fun really kicks in. So out comes Gabe Kidd and everybody else. They're beating the shit out of everybody, right? And in the middle of all that, you got Ospreay trying to protect Hangman again. That's going to come into play on Saturday. I 100% know it. And so you get to the point there where Marina pulls out 2 plastic bags and gives them to the Young Bucks. And they're going to double suffocate, Bryan Danielson style, Will Ospreay and Hangman Adam Page. Enter in Swerve. Although he doesn't really enter. He's inside of a front loader and outside with the Young Bucks gaudy limo that they drove up in, okay? Which Heather made this mention. We're going to get to it in just a second here, but he proceeds to destroy the Young Bucks limo. More calamity ensues. Everybody comes out, beats everybody up, okay? Limos in professional wrestling let's have a quick word about that, Austin. Limos have not fared well in professional wrestling lore.
I would imagine more limos have been destroyed in pro wrestling than any other entertainment venue, including monster trucks and things like that.
I mean,
it's such a good, it's an evergreen spot though. Like it happens just infrequent enough that you pop every time it does. Yep. But this felt classic pro wrestling.
Yeah, and you know, and we've already got a couple references in chat there. You know, Stone Cold. There's McMahon's limo blowing up, right? You know, you had, remember they were doing like the 3-way with Ronda Rousey, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte Flair, and they're all just punching a limo windows out left and right. You know, it's just. Yeah, I mean, good old limos. So nothing better than the Bucks actually buying a limo for Swerve to destroy it. And that is your send-off for All In.
So circling back really quick to how All In needs to end. One, I'm even more confident Hanger's winning after the very end when Swerve, after jumping off I think it was another forklift and stomping the Bucks, sauntered his way into the arena, and you had that little brief look between Swerve and Hanger.
Just very slight.
Hanger's winning this match, but not just winning it, because they did announce Texas Death Rules. You either got to win by KO or submission.
Mm-hmm.
If Hanger does not win this match by hanging Jon Moxley from that chain over the top rope, like he did to Jay White back in the day when he first got the name Hangman, they're fucking up. That's how that match has to end. And it's going to be glorious when it does.
Yep.
You know what, Fletch? Normally, babyfaces getting the upper hand does usually mean they're going to lose. I don't think that's the case here.
I mean, the typical trope of whoever wins at the go-home loses at the pay-per-view. AEW's bucked that enough times as it is. So... yeah, I feel like the story needs it anyway. Austin, what happened tonight was inconsequential to me. You know, I feel like Austin does. Like, this has to be Mox. It is the time to do it. I'm all for it. I think that, yes, definitely. I'm not going to be as adamant about him. I don't, if it's not with the hanging, I'm fine, you know, as long as there is a way to do it, you know. And I think you can break Moxley off into be face afterwards. Like, you can even come out and, you know, next week and shake his hand, you know, and say, you've earned it. I'll give you that. Right. You know, like the kudos to the man who finally, you know, took his ring, you know, basically.
And I think it goes beyond just Hanger. I think Hanger beating Mox, Omega beating Okada, and Toni beating Mercedes is kind of like a reset in a good way of like AEW is back. The AEW folks are on top. Not that Mox hasn't been an AEW person pretty much their entire run. Like, but you had Okada who kind of came in from the outside. You had Mercedes who came in from the outside. I think babyface is going over in all of those and having a nice little reset of like, hey, we're going for it. It's a new era in AEW. Like, I think that's a good way to keep the momentum they've been building over the last 6 or so months.
I wish I had as much faith in you that they're not going to put that belt on Mercedes, but I will see. I mean, should and could. I know.
Yeah, like, I won't be surprised if it happens. Why?
I don't disagree. So
there was a report a while back that Mercedes originally was completely fine with losing to Hayter at the Owen finals, but because Mariah was leaving, it changed their plans. That's when they pivoted to Toni Mercedes All In.
Okay.
Who knows how true that is? Dirt sheet reporting, but I don't buy into Jamie's Mercedes Hogan analogy. I think this has been a conscious effort from Tony Khan to build up to a big women's match. But even watching their face off tonight, Toni is still the bigger star.
She is. Mercedes definitely, we talk a lot of shit on Mercedes for her, you know, promo work and stuff, deservedly so. But, you know, we do talk a lot of shit. But she's also very much a behind the scenes to a man. Everybody who's ever worked with her can say this. She is very much a forward-thinking, thinking about the story, willing to put people over if it needs it to happen, sort of worker. So that doesn't surprise me at all. I also don't feel like she wouldn't be on board with the idea of putting Toni over if it's the better story. I just don't know if the man actually calling the match is gonna agree with us. That's where my problem is. My faith is I've been so jaded by all this. I'm convinced that Tony Khan only wants Mercedes to have all the belts.
That's it. But like Fletch has said in chat, Tony isn't losing because Death Rider Statlander is coming for her, and we need a timeless feud with the Death Riders. I don't know how involved the Death Riders are going to be. I do think Statlander does become a heel. I think Statlander is winning the Casino Gauntlet match. And probably backstabbing Willow to do it.
I like that.
So now you move into Statlander and Toni, which is a great feud. You've kind of got a better heel built up that you haven't in a long time because Mercedes refuses to be a heel. You've got a better heel built up for Toni. You now have Willow and Mercedes. Willow can sneak back in the TBS picture, and now you've still got those kind of intertwined where you're still telling the Statlander Willow story at the same time. I think that's a better, more entertaining way going forward for all parties involved.
Yeah, and if you're going with something else with Moxley, right? You're not doing the full breakup of the Death Riders, but you're doing like a reshuffling, right? I like the idea of even if you pull Moxley out, you have the remnants, especially with Yuta and Marina, taking Statlander with her and becoming this kind of dark whispering circle of whatever. And I think you've given them enough wings that they can run with that. We can do some things with that because that's the hope what you want to have anyway too. They don't have to be anchored by somebody like Jon Moxley forever, right? So I'd like to see them try that and see how they can go with it.
Yeah, I just don't know what they do if Mercedes wins. Like, what is there?
I don't know. But then again, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
So we will find out.
I've got faith we're going to make the right decision.
I know, I do too. We'll find out on Saturday. So big card, lots of stuff going on there. We talked about all the matches pretty much in passing here. You've got the Texas Death Match for the world title, Kata Omega, women's world title, 2 gauntlet matches there. You got right now a triple threat for the tag team titles. You've got a late announced trios match, Adam Cole versus Fletcher for the TNT title. There's a bunch of stuff happening at Ring of Honor as well the night before. It's going to play into it. Whole bunch of stuff going on. There's going to be some surprises, maybe big returns, maybe debuts. Who knows?
I think you'll get at least someone debut or returning. Like you have a big event without a big debut or return.
There's going to be at least one or two.
We did miss one match that's on the card for Saturday, which will very likely be 0 hour. Big Boom AJ Justice taking on a member of the Don Callis family with the Rizzler at ringside.
Why is this still a thing?
I still don't know who those people are.
Yeah.
But I will say Big Boom was solid the 2 times I've seen him in the ring so far. He's over with the crowd too. The dude can work.
Cool.
I'm hoping since it is a member of the Don Callis family he's facing. They haven't said who yet.
It's Lance
and
Archer.
They are in Texas.
It's Lance
Give
Archer.
me Big Boom versus Lance Archer.
100% it's Lance Archer. We know this. There's going to be other stuff too that will pop up. So we are going to get our picks in tomorrow night. I'm sending off our pick sheets. So we'll get our picks in. Be interesting to see, when we all get around to watching it, because Austin, it's happening in the middle of the day. Jamie's just flying back that morning. He's got softball all day, right? I'll be working, and you have a wrestling event that you are doing down there in Wichita, Heartland Championship Wrestling this weekend.
HCW at the Osage Rec Center on the south part of Wichita. Myself and T2G will be defending our HCW tag team titles against Only Friends. because tag team wrestling is still alive and well in South Central Kansas if it's not on AEW.
We're getting better on AEW,
yeah,
man. All right, we're getting better.
I just get back to where it was like a year and a half ago. Like when you got FTR and Bullet Club Gold in the 60-minute absolute banger of a tag. Like it can get there again, and it will one day.
It will.
For now, come on down to Wichita to see some tag team wrestling.
Yeah, the daytime pay-per-views are always a weird thing, but I mean, they're also doing, there's counter programming that night if you really want to watch Goldberg.
But is it really counter programming if Saturday night's main event starts right after All In ends?
No.
It's piggyback programming.
It's weird because it's 100% not counter programming. But it's like, and the fact that that's what they're putting up on the same day. That's what they're putting up against one of the biggest shows is going to happen all year, right?
Yeah, you're going to get Okada and Omega, Mox and Hangman in a Texas death match.
And then
some solid women's wrestling. You're getting so much good stuff. And then on the other show, you're getting old-ass Goldberg taking on Gunther, which I did not catch much of Raw this week, but I did catch the segment with Gunther and Goldberg. And Gunther comes out and cuts a promo. Goldberg's music hits. He comes down to the ring. Gunther's holding the mic, but obviously he's not going to hold up to Goldberg's face. Goldberg basically cuts a promo on Gunther to his face, but without a microphone, so nobody hears it, and then just punches him. And okay, that's what we're doing.
That's where we are. So, yeah.
Yeah, as Fletch just mentioned, a week later in House Show, they're doing Gunther and Penta for the world title. Give me that, and I would immediately tune into Saturday night's main event.
Yes. Give me anything with Penta. I miss Penta in AEW. All
Just
right.
give me Gunther having dope-ass matches as a world champion. I don't need to see him fighting the Goldbergs and the Logan Pauls of the world and all that. Let me see Gunther go with the dozen super talented guys you have on the roster that can also go.
You are asking
you're
asking for the wrong things from the wrong company. But still good stuff.
We're getting the right things from the right company.
We're getting the right things from the right things. So Saturday is going to be a hell of a day. So we will be back next week. Same bad time, same bad time. You're doing Jamie's ending, by the way. I didn't forget to tell you. So we got lots of stuff to talk about next week. So we'll go over All In, reveal the picks, who the new champion is going to be, because somebody's definitely taking that belt off of Jamie, 100%.
Disagree too much on the build of this that Jamie's getting picked off on Saturday.
He's not here to defend himself, so he can't say anything about it. So ha. But no, we will have results of the pay-per-view, results of our picks, see the fallout, everything that happens. So we'll be back next week, same bad time, same bad channel. Again, if it's your first time here, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Hit the thumbs up, give us a subscribe down below, hit the bell icon to know when we go live, and we will see you guys next week. All right, Austin, take us home, man.
If you're not down with that, I'm tapping to Toni Storm for this one. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're not down with that, I got 3 words for you. Eat shit, bitch.
All right, guys, we'll see you next week.
Later.